This time on Captain Chaos's laboratory, we're going to be working on the Department 56 Brite Lites Factory. It's a porcelain house, so there's not a lot I can do as far as the house goes, but if you have this piece, or know of this piece, it is a bulb-lit piece that's supposed to also light those two bulbs on top. The bulbs do actually on top get power. They just don't work anymore because, well, they're burned out. So this is a 3-volt house that uses the nightlight style bulbs, but they're 3 volts. You put a 120 volt bulb in here, nothing will happen. But if you pop a 3 volt bulb in here, like this one, ba-ding, voila. I'm going to turn the light on real quick. So the Santa Claus that comes with it works. So I'm going to unplug him, and just in case you've never seen him, there you go. Kind of hard to see with the light. Maybe I can change the hue. Yeah, you can maybe see a little bit better now. More natural light. But you can see, there's my bright. That's the brightest. Okay. Santa works just fine. So I'm going to move him out of the way so he doesn't get lost or broken. So the reason it's here is they don't make these bulbs anymore. When you buy a 3-volt bulb from Department 56, that's what you get. That's what you get. Let me bring on the other lights real quick. Click. So, replacement 3-volt bulb. You can see it's the same bulb. These are the originals that came with the house for the main light. Neither one of these work. One's glass, one's plastic. And neither one of them light up. So, there's no light. And no light. So, if you listen, you hear the noise difference. That's glass versus plastic. It's a very, I don't know how well the camera's going to pick it up, but glass and plastic bulbs sound slightly different because, well, of course, glass is different than plastic. So I'm going to take these 2 bad bulbs and also relocate them out of the way. Department 56 has discontinued these lights right here. They no longer make these red and green bulbs that are shaped like the old, I guess are C7 bulbs. Now, there are these white-only bulbs that are, bulbous shaped, and they're white. This thing's supposed to have a red and a green. The light bulb factory. But we're going to see if we can make these work again. So, before I try and totally destroy, because I don't want to, these 2 lights, these are glass. They even say it. If you didn't see it, it says it right here. Glass bulbs. So I'm not going to screw with those. But I do have this big old box of bulbs right there, which I can't get my fingers in. These are 120 volt. And they're plastic. They're LED. And they're the C7 bulbs. And I believe these are the plastic ones like I ordered. It does tell you here, 120 volts, 60 hertz. I don't think these actually say what they're made out of. They're not as fancy as the American ones because these came from China. Do not use bulb if damaged or broken. So, but anyhow, this is the same shape. This is clear. This isn't. So what I want to do is I'm going to see if I can get one of these to separate, and I'm just going to break one of these to get into it so I can see how it's attached inside the base. I know that these might be easier to disassemble, and that's because if you look, these are stippled. So they put the light on and they then take a machine that crimps it and puts all these dents into it, which digs into the plastic. If you look at these old school bulbs, which is how bulbs used to be, there's no dimples. So, that's just a shiny, smooth surface. This has a big ridge right here. Hear me clicking it? That's probably where they got this hot and squished it on and then it melted to the plastic. Or it's a ridge of sealant, because there's a little bit of it sticking out right there. You can see where my finger is pointing that spot. I think they're probably glued and heated together. I mean, I could be wrong. I normally don't dissect light bulbs. It's just one of those things. I'll replace LEDs, but I usually don't dissect the light bulb. So I'm going to move some of this so we can start working. Get rid of the light. Let's take care of this ancient house and move it out of the way. And we're going to get some more light in here. So, the plans are to hopefully get these open. Get some of the foam from the packaging. It's everywhere. Packaging is just as old as the house, and it is, from age disintegrating. But besides that, so the goal is to see how to replace a filament with an LED, just an actual LED, maybe two, depending on how bright you want, and make this thing like this LED. It'd be too bright. I mean, I could stick it in the bottom and make the whole thing light up, but this is a high intensity white LED. Technically that was a white bulb in the inside. I don't know if you can see it very well, but the bulb is like a Christmas style light bulb. You might be able to see it through the points right here. It has a point very similar to Christmas lights, the itty bitty ones that they squeeze the top on. So the incandescent bulb on the inside is probably sealed with the gas, and this outer casing probably is not. We're going to see if we can just replace it with some standard LEDs. I don't have any 3-volt elements like that. That is an actual LED cob. I don't have any in 3-volt, just 120. Which this could actually be 3-volt, and inside the base here, maybe you can see those two white standoffs. That's what the LED connects to. There could be a resistor in here, and I'm going to probably bet $1, because I'm cheap, that there is. So I am going to sacrifice this light. I'm going to break the plastic. But I want to do it so I'm not covered in shards of plastic. So let's a little safety here. And to do it on camera for y'all, I don't have a hammer in here, but I got other tools. So let's relocate these. Plastic, that would have broken a glass bulb. I might have to use the vise. Or I might have to get a hammer. I don't want to break the filament on the inside if I can. Avoid it. Let's put this at the end so it won't move around in the bag as much. No, it tore the bag. It didn't break the bulb. I dented it. Let's see what will come off. Who knew that trying to break a light bulb would be so much fun? Oh, I got heavier ones. Let's grab those. Alright. I can't show you the vise because it's bolted to the bench and the camera doesn't quite turn that way. So let's try these bad boys. Put it back in the corner. And well, it says don't use them if they're damaged or broken. I don't know how the hell you break these things. Oh my gosh. I'm going to try and hit it with the edge, the point. It's not broke, but it looks like it's coming apart. You came here to learn knowledge, and I'm just showing you how apparently not to break the plastic bulb. So I don't think it's safe to use in a wall socket anymore, and I don't think it's going to thread into a bulb socket, but it's separated. I'm wondering if I can now... Man, this thing took some hits. I don't know if you can see the dent in the plastic. Look at that. Probably a good thing to have if you have kids. Like on the Christmas tree lights, your outdoor lights. Ooh, it's turning. That does sound like glass, though. Well, I'll be. It's actually threaded in. Look at that. Threaded, and that crunchy sound I hear is probably glue or adhesive. So, that's why I wanted to sacrifice a bulb to see. Those are probably not screwed in, but I'm going to try it. We'll probably heat them up to break the adhesive. But now that we have this part out, right here, here is our LED cob. It is most likely soldered to this ball right here, or the tip. And the edge was attached on the side here, but I can see where it was, right over here. But beating this thing with a pair of tools has broken its connection. Now, most LEDs run between a voltage of 1.8 to 5 and maybe 7 for standard LEDs. This is a standard LED, but depending on how they have it wired, it could actually go up to a much higher voltage. Because if you have a whole bunch of LEDs and put them in series, you need a higher voltage. If you put them in parallel, you need a lower voltage, but you'll need a little bit more amperage to feed them all. So I'm going to use DC, because LEDs are DC. And let's see if we can make this thing glow a little with just a voltmeter. Now, if you watch one of my other videos, I show this to you. I'm going to show it to you again, because it's going to come important every once in a while if you're making your own lights, is we need to know which way current flows from an LED. Real quick, the diode is like a valve. Electricity can flow one direction, but not the other. So if you have the electricity going backwards, nothing's going to happen. If you have electricity going forwards, on these, it would light up. So what this does is when you have a multimeter and you set it to diode, there's the symbol. And I'm going to touch one side here. I'm going to try my best not to make continuity with my fingers. So the negative is probably the top, and the positive is probably the bottom. If I didn't break the diode from beating it with a hammer. Maybe I broke the diode. That is very possible. Where's that white one I had? I can show you on that, since this one I think, oh, hey, this one will work too. So this is the size LED I would put inside these bulbs. This type, not this size. The longer lead is positive, the shorter lead is negative, and I don't know if you can see it turn on my finger, and then the meter shows the voltage. So it takes 1.8 volts to turn this LED on. I'm going to turn off this light. Maybe you'll be able to see the glow. Yeah, you can see it. So that's what this should have done. So either this is too high for my meter, or I broke it when I smacked it with the pliers 7 times. But screw it. Let's find out. So I have it set for 6 volts. And I have no reading. Nothing. Alright, let's go 12 volts. No reading. Nothing. So the max my machine can go is 16. Nothing. So I think I did break it because I can twist the center section and it doesn't try and twist the whole thing. Oh well, live and learn. I have 24 more of them to go. So right now I'm gonna my soldering iron's heating up, and once that thing's nice and toasty, I'm gonna see about desoldering this, because this is actually a ball of solder on the end. go. Should be up to temperature. There we go. So there's the negative lead. I'll turn those lights back on. There we go. Positive, negative. So the positive is the bottom, and the negative is the side. And I don't see anything on the inside. So this may be stacked, or those are two resistors in there. This may be set to come on at a much higher voltage than the my meter can put out. You can see in the bottom it's black. That is this black stuff right here. It's a potting residue, like a bake light. Throw that away. So by dissecting this bulb, it'll help me try and figure out what those bulbs are made out of, or should be assembled, made out of, how they're assembled. Trying to split this thing open so I can get an idea of the inside here. There we go. Oh yeah, the LED was broke from smacking it. So that's what I thought when I said I could turn it and it wasn't turning. So in these white standoffs is a resistor. Let's see if I can slide this thing out. You can see the resistor right there with my thumb. The LED cob's broken in half from beating the hell out of the bulb. And then there's a resistor on that side too. So if I didn't smash the bulb so hard that it broke the LED cob, probably could actually make this thing light up. So let's not whack the hell out of it again. So here's our second sacrificial bulb. Let's see if we can just turn it and break the glue first. You hear the crunchy. It's like AMFSR, yeah. That crunchy is the glue. So breaking the glue. I'm not squeezing super hard, but hopefully it's enough to allow me to spin this. There we go. Like that. And then you can see how this one, since I didn't smack it a zillion times, you can see how it's in the threads. And that way it digs into the side, and there's your negative. The pin on the bottom is always your positive. It just sheared the bottom when I spun it, and you can see where it's all cracked for me. Oh, that missed. Squeezing. All right, now can we get this white cap out and try this thing again? There we go. So hopefully this time, I can test this since it's not been smacked with a pair of pliers. All right, let's see what we get. I can't see it because of the glare. There we go. So we know the positive is that side, and negative is that side. Still nothing. I think the resistance of the cob is higher than my meter can put out power for. So let's see if we crank it up a little, if it'll start to glow. So, nope. I was hoping that if this would light up at a low voltage, we could use it inside. All right. .5 volts DC. It doesn't matter. Volts. 1 amp. 0.1 amps. 0.1 amps. 3.5 volts at. Okay, that's the at symbol. 0.1 amps. I'm just gonna feel around on it first. I don't want to damage it too much. You know what I should do before I do any of this is I need to get a pair of gloves, because I'm going to heat this up and I don't feel like burning my fingers. So give me one moment. I'm going to grab some of those UGG gloves because they can handle the heat and they have the silicone rippies. I'll return in just a moment. Alright, I'm back with UGG gloves. Waiting for this thing to get up to temperature. Grippies don't work so well on this plastic. I'm heating up the metal. I'm pointing just below where it's attached. That way the metal expands and hopefully relieves some of the stress on the plastic bulb. So I'm not pointing at the plastic because it will melt the plastic. I'm pointing at the metal just above the threads, just to give you an idea what I'm doing. And then I'm trying to heat up the steel or metal lip that's up against the bulb, because I don't want to distort the plastic too much because the plastic will melt. Holy crap. Yeah, that is definitely hot. But I can't get a grip on it. Well, the bulb was cooled down in the touch. Metal hasn't. I can stand this up in and just work the metal better. Most everything I have will damage this light. That's what I'm trying to avoid. So that'll work. That'll hold it up for me. The wood has a relatively high temperature before the air will cause a problem. And this allows me to, I guess it helps me to put my pliers on top of my cord to keep it up and heat up this metal some more. This might take some time. I'm almost thinking about putting this thing in the oven for a couple of minutes, but I'm afraid of this plastic red lens. wondering if I can get a better grip with the pliers on the bulb. I can, but I just don't trust breaking the plastic. I still work. Looking down inside. Oh yeah, there's a lot of potting in here. So we have the long, thin Christmas light style bulb, the small Christmas light. The filaments broke, I can see that. And then shining it inside, because it's easier to see through the green than the red, this thing is potted with resin, probably right up to about this thread. So, taking this thing apart is going to be a pain. So before I destroy these, since I don't make them, and this thing's cooling down, let me see if I can find that one I got apart relatively easy. I threw it in the trash. When I left, I picked it up, threw it back in the trash. That missed the trash can. And let me do some tests with that one. Let's put an LED in there, see what it looks like with a clear bulb. Maybe frost the bulb. But what I'm thinking is, if I damage this base, since they're the same base, I should be able to put this plastic top back into the base. Because a lot of people do it is they cut this and then they snip it off to get rid of the potting. So I want to see what I can do with what I got before we destroy irreplaceable pieces. So there's the good lens. And there's the good base. And let's the clear lens LEDs have a more brilliant color than the colored lens LEDs. Which is why if you look at a lot of your current pieces that come out, unless they're like Christmas lights on the front of a building, especially on the Emacs, they're usually normally a clearish color, and that's because they use the clear lens because they're brighter and they're a better color than the ones that are already pre-colored. Alright, so first things, let's clear off this solder here, since we didn't do it to this one because it broke. This is a solder sucker, for those who don't know what it is. Get your solder pliable, and then it sucks the liquidy stuff off the top. I'm trying to find the hole right there in the middle. And then it does that, it leaves a little disc. There we go. So, I can probably see the hole now. So we have a base. Now, I want to just stick the bulb inside. Set this for 1.8 volts. The short lead is negative. The long lead is positive. We'll see if this is green or red, because I don't remember, because they're both the same clear. It's red. Here's our color. I'm going to bump it up a little bit to 2 volts. It's going to run up to 2.2. So on a clear light, that's what it would look like. Probably look a lot better if the other lights weren't on. With a colored lens, it would it should be more brilliant. But the difference between an incandescent LED is, if you notice, the LED point, it's really bright. Now it's not as bright. So when it's in here, it's really bright. It's not as bright. We can frost this. You can crack it. We just don't want to break down where the LED is towards the bottom. The top dome is 1/16 of an inch of just plastic. So that's going to be the other issue with LEDs. As far as this style would work great because it would imitate a filament, and it would fit high enough in a bulb that the whole bulb would illuminate. And I might have to buy a 3-volt batch of these, because I do believe they come in 3-volt. This one apparently is much higher. This one's probably closer to like 30, maybe 50. Because what they do is, imagine this micro-sized, and then they're just stacked in here in series. So it takes a lot of forward voltage to get through this stack. So, but at least at the moment, I can show you the concept of having it come apart and then sticking it in. So, and on these, let's get back to these guys here. Spent the money on these just to literally do what I'm doing, just tear them apart. What a lot of people do on these plastic ones, instead of doing what I did, you take a set of tin snips or side cutters and you cut this off, and then you get to the bulb. So what I was thinking is the worst case, if I can't get this hot enough, is I can cut this off, and because these are the same, I can just replace it with this one or this one, and we're good to go. So the part that's sacrificial in this whole process is the threads, not the bulb, or in this case the plastic part. It's not glass. Learning a few things about these lights while I'm doing it, because I don't take them apart. But I know a few people now that have this house, and they still say their lights work because they only display it for periods of time throughout the year. But eventually, they're going to have the same problem as this. I've also seen these on eBay. The ones that have functional red and green bulbs are going for 400 plus. The ones that don't are going for like 200 plus. Like, that's crazy. I mean, this would, to me, wouldn't be too bad if it was my house, having the clear lens. But I understand why it's green and red, and that's because that's the style of bulb that was around back when this house was made. Everybody had those big fat bulbs hanging on their Christmas tree or the outside of their house, and it would look like that. They didn't look like this because it didn't exist. They would be white. They would be frosted. They look like that. So I can understand why people want the nostalgia. Now, before I got this house sent to me, I looked everywhere. Not only myself, but the other guy, a part of the channel. We could not find any 3-volt bulbs anywhere other than this 2-pack from any manufacturer that resembled a C7 bulb in any shape of the design, shape of the bulb, or your imagination. So what I want to do now is, before I destroy this completely, is I'm going to look for a 3-volt or less cob that looks just like that, without the glare, just like that. And if I can find one, and I can get it shipped here in a couple days, let's say on Amazon, because I don't know why they even have Prime. Everything I order on Prime says it'll be here the next day. 2 weeks later, it shows up. This was before the holiday rush, too. I might be able to pull these apart and actually make it look more like an old school filament, because these are translucent. You can see through them. Kinda. The light reflecting is preventing it. They're not frosted like these where you can't see through them. Or painted. These are painted. But you get what I'm trying to say, I hope. So I'm going to pause it right here. I'm going to keep all this stuff out. I'm going to put it in a little package. You know what? I'm going to put it in my safety bag here. It was so safe. And I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to order me up some, I'm going to try and find, if I can, I'm going to order up some of these cobs, and we're going to come back and test it. If I cannot find said cobs, then I'll be back, and we're going to be trying to make something work inside of here that's going to look close to or resemble an incandescent bulb, which is what's in here currently. A low voltage incandescent bulb, but it's still an incandescent bulb nonetheless, and go from there. But our biggest thing is we don't want to destroy the red and green plastic. With that C725 pack I bought on Amazon, which I think was like $13 or $15, I have sacrificial pieces. The first one completely destroyed, but that taught me how to get into them. The second one I just unscrewed once I cracked the glue. So it's a learning curve. And then I buy it, so if you need to do this, if you happen to have this house and this works out, because as of right now I have no idea, then you know how to take apart a plastic bulb. And just so you know how I looked it up, is I looked for nightlight bulbs in plastic and then C7 bulbs in plastic. And the 25 pack was the best deal, because I got 25 bulbs for one price, whereas the other one was like 6 bulbs, and if I would have bought 2 of those I got 12, and it was the same price as the 25 pack. And I figured I can make 24 mistakes. So I always look at both sides of what I'm doing. So at the moment I'm going to set this over here with the lighthouse, or excuse me, the Brite Lighthouse, and keep it out of the way so it doesn't get damaged. And I'm going to stop it right here, and I'm going to move on to the next piece right after I do some searching for some cobs, and then we're going to go from there. So I shall return in just a moment. Alright, we're back working on the Brite lights. I got the filaments in. Filaments are, I don't want to say they're garbage, but they're what's used in the bulbs. I also ordered a pack of, let me turn on a little extra light for the moment, of, I found the actual same shape bulb. These are 120 volt, and they're shatterproof, which means they're plastic. So I was able to do the same thing and unscrew it to check it, so we can replicate the original bulbs. These things are super fragile, and this literally just showed up in the mail a few minutes ago, and you can see that one's broken, and there's a broken one in here. There's a broken one right there. That's what sucks about these. I'm getting a pack of them to actually be fully functional. And here's the other issue. These are 3 volts, so I have my my machine at 3 volts. They're polarized, so if you try to put power through them backwards, it won't work. There's a hole in the top that lets you know what's negative and positive. So that's the whole thing. So that one's good. This one, on the other hand, oh wait, they both work. Nope, that's, so I don't know if you could see it. It's intermittent. Sometimes it did the whole thing, and other times it was just doing half of it. I don't know if you can see how it jumps up. That's because there's a small fracture on the inside. Yeah, they're super flimsy. They're freaking horrible. But it's the new thing. All LED lights that look like incandescents have them, as you can see right there. But this is shorter. This is longer. I couldn't find any 3 volts that were shorter. So it's kind of a trade-off on what you're going to do. Now this is warm white. I don't remember the colors because they don't say anything other than 3 volt, and the rest of it is in Chinese. So I can't tell you. I think I ordered a green, which is that one, and a blue, which probably not even in here. I ordered red. This is probably red because it's orange-ish in color. I don't know. I'm hoping there's a couple of good ones in here so I can make a couple of spare bulbs. So it's really, really hard to see, but yeah, I don't know if it's going to focus, but yeah, it won't. This end has a hole in it, and that hole, again, is the positive. So if I hook the positive there, I can get it to grab the, there we go, I couldn't get to grab the teeth. And if I take my negative that I threw over here and put my scissors on, this should be, it's red. So what I want to do is solder some hard wire to it, like they did with this. And I might just use this, because this is already hard wire, and see what looks better in here. Will I get a better red with a red filament or with a white filament? Might as well just check all the colors, because I ordered these a while ago and I don't remember, and I didn't look up the order to see the colors that I ordered. This one's broke. Let's see if it still lights up. That's the biggest complaint on all LED filaments, is that's blue. It looks white on the camera, but that's blue. So I did order blue. But anyhow, the biggest complaint of these is they arrive broken. That most of them don't work or they're not fully functional is because they send these in a Tyvek bubble bag, and then they arrive in pieces. So I will link them below, but you are going to spend $20 as an example and may get 3 good ones. It's horrible. I really wish they shipped them better. That's green. So we got green, we got blue, and we got white and red. So I want to see if the red's a deeper red, it makes it look nicer, or if the white's a brighter red and makes it look closer to original. So, and then lastly, if that's white, this is probably a different hue or color of white. Unless I got some other color. Their descriptions aren't the greatest. This one's broken in the middle too, but it should still light up. It's white and only half of it lights up. So we got bright white, warm white, blue, red, green. Just turn the soldering iron on so I can desolder this bubble, which I already showed you. I'm going to pull a green bulb out. I'll try to. There we go. Oh, my soldering iron heats. Jeez, while my soldering iron heats up, let's unscrew this. Oh, the red unscrewed. My green doesn't want to unscrew. Let's try a different green. Because remember, they're not only screwed on, they're pinned and glued. So you're trying to go, there we go. You're trying to go through multiple layers of stuff. That's better. I have to bump up the temperature a little bit. These don't appear to be soldered. They look like they might actually be pressed in. Let's see. One more attempt. They are. They're pressed into the rubber. The soldering iron's hot enough it melted the... Still hot. It melted the rubber. There's the disc. There we go. There's that filament. I believe this was the red. Yes. Now these are super susceptible to heat, so you got to be careful when you solder these in that you don't overheat these things fast, because you will have a failure. We also need to remove the resistors that are in here because we're not plugging this into a 120 volt wall socket. We're plugging it into a 3 volt. Where'd my little guys go? So there's the resistors. I'm actually thinking maybe I should just make a whole new bottom for these, just to allow it to work. So we got the 2 resistors out, and we're going to need some basic hard wire, which I might have removed from here because I'm still trying to get my stuff moved over. You know what, for testing, who cares? Let's just try this. So I'm going to turn my soldering iron back down. And I'm just going to solder this on. So that's the positive. Bringing the solder to it, which is not the proper way, but I'm trying to do this quickly so I don't burn the light. I think it's gonna need some flux. There we go. You're thinking, oh, with the resistor it's not going to work. You'd be right. At 3 volts it will not work. What I'm trying to do is I just want to shove this inside the bulb and see how it looks. So I'm going to connect the positive above the resistor, so the resistor is not functional, and then the negative to the bottom of the light, like that. So I want to see it looks. It doesn't look bad, actually. These long filaments barely fit in here, but they will. It's all the way in. So this technically will work as a repair. Let's try it with white and see. And I know it's hard for you to see because of the camera doesn't pick it up as good. Okay, that's the full white. And I'm gonna cheat on this one. I'm just gonna put the solder real. I guess I should probably do this again. What I was trying to do is use the solder as the wire, but the solder keeps breaking. There we go. Here's some rigid wire. Now this is single strand solid copper wire. This can be used to make the loop like that one. Just peel off the insulation so it's just exposed copper. Inside the bulb, you won't see the colored insulation in there. So, solid core, I normally don't recommend, but for this project, it's going to be required because you need something that's rigid enough to hold the filament, the light, straight. So using the white, which it's a lot brighter red, but it's still red. Ugh. I wish the camera could pick it up better. So let's try it green. Try the green bulb. So if you're going to try this at home to fix your light, Brite Lites Factory, you can do it. It's not going to be the easiest. I'd recommend buying these type of bulbs to make spares, so you have spares, and then you might have to buy a dozen packages of these filaments, unless you have a place locally that sells them. So you can do this, because a few of these are broke, which means I can't make a whole bunch of them. Now, if you watch videos before, this spool this came on, I got at Goodwill. It's 2-wire, it says telephone wire, is what it's on the package. And that's because this is the same stuff they made telephone wires out of. If you have an old landline phone cord lying around, you might have some solid core inside of it that you can use. Or you can just buy a spool. But this is what this is from. This is solid core telephone wire. Oh, my solder joint failed. I glued it to my mat. There we go. These things are so small. If you have bad eyes, like I do, you're going to need to wear magnifiers, like I do, so you can see. If you don't have magnifiers and you got reading glasses, do the same thing. I have magnifiers because I already wear glasses. Can't really wear readers on top of them. Alright, so let's already have a white one made to test the green. I'm going to start off with the green colored filament. Well, that's green. It's bright too, really bright. I might put a resistor on them to dim them down a hair. Maybe not, because if I lower the power down to like 2.7, it's pulsating. I don't know if you can see it, but it's doing this. If I go up to 2.8, it's solid. It's a 3-volt house. If I go to 3 volts, it's 3 volts. It's just brighter. So there's not a lot of dimming I can do on this, at least on the green color. But the green is really green, like really green. So it's not bad. Now let's check what the white looks like inside here. It's the white is overpowering the green dye on the plastic, and you can actually see that it's got a white spot to my eye. The camera may not pick it up, or it probably picks it up as all white. You know what I didn't do is I didn't check the white, if I can drop the voltage on the white and if it's going to flicker. So let's put the white back on the bench. Let's hook up the negative. I know it's not a complete white because it's cracked on the inside. There we go. I'll try and hold it so it's the full bar. So dropping it down. 2.7. It's flickering. And I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it's pulsating. Not so much at 2.6, but it's really dim. That's 2.5, and that's 2.4. Yeah, let's do this. So, 3. 2.9. 0.7, 6, 2.5, 2.4, and at 2.3 there's no light at all. We'll bring it back up to 3. And you can see the red glow on the outside. I mean, it's a nice red glow. I'm going to kill the other light and see if that will help the camera. So you can see the red glow. Don't mind the white coming out of the bottom. That's just where there's no cap on the end. But it doesn't look bad. The white actually does look pretty good inside of the red lens. So I'll slide the red lens off. See, it's bright. We'll slide the green lens on. Now, the camera shows a white spot, which is because it's overpowering, and you see the green coming out, but the very center of the lens to the eyeball, it doesn't look green anymore. And that's because the dye in the plastic to make the red is darker than the dye that makes the plastic green on the green. So the white doesn't look as good on the green as it does on the red. So with the light off, let's switch it out to a new filament. But I need light to see what I'm doing. So why don't we do... So that's the white filament. Here's the green filament. See if I can... I'm trying to tip it so I can slide the lens over. There we go. And here's the green. Lights off. So there's the green without the lens. And you can see the nice green shadow. Of course, you got the white hotspot because the camera picks it up that way. If I slide the green in, it doesn't look as bad. Now, it's hard, again, to see on the camera. At least in my viewfinder, it shows it as there's not much of a change between this and this. The viewfinder, see, there's your outside splatter area and this look almost identical. Want to see what it looks like on the red? Actually, the red looks redder with the green. That's weird. That is crazy. It's a deeper red. I know if you put blue inside of red, it negates. It's supposed to be almost non-existent. But that's the green. Now let's go to the red filament. There's the red. And there's the red on the red. Red off the red. Red on the red. Not much of a change I can see on the camera except intensity because the red does diffuse it. And what the hell, let's see what the green does. The green looks horrible. It almost looks brown. This doesn't have a really big red hue, and what I see through the lens, it literally looks brown. So definitely you can't use green and red. But the green filament in the red bulb looks redder. That's very strange. All right, power off and light back. You know what? Just for giggles, let's do the blue. Let's do the blue. nice. Trying to get this done for Christmas season, so hopefully I can make a lighter 3 and get this thing shipped back this week now that my filaments are here. So there's the blue. Alright, so here's the green. Still looks blue, even to the eye. I disconnected the negative when I pulled it out. There we go. And red and blue negate each other. So, there's not much light coming out. As you can see, it's very small. There's a dark spot up top, and that's because red negates blue, blue negates red. It almost looks neon on the bottom. I can see the blue chips, so I can see all the little dots that are in the actual stack of diodes to make the LED. But it looks, well, it looks horrible, but it's still something to show you. I'm going to try, I don't know if zooming in is going to change how it appears on the camera, but let's try it. If you have red plastic and blue plastic, you can shine or look through them at the opposite color, and you'll see that it negates the color. I learned this a long time ago, and when you work with cop cars, like I used to, if you have blue LEDs and you stick the red lens on the blue LED side, guess what you don't see? You don't see the lights, and vice versa. So, let's see. Zoom it in a little or a lot and move this over. And yeah, you can see you have a lot left. This actually might work for all the colors. Let's try it. You can see that you have the dark spot I was talking about, and then it kind of like a neon. The outer edge is glowing, where you're looking through the plastic and you're seeing how thick it is. But I can see all the chips. So now you can see them on the camera. I can't even see that with my naked eye, but the camera can pick it up. So you can see the individual chips. So when this is at full power, I can see the chips through the red because it's negating the blue ambient light, because that's what red does. I can see the lights once I pull them out. Now they're blue. And look, the camera shows it as super bright. So if I put the green back on and pump that back up to 3 volts, it still looks blue. The blue overpowers the green. So we know immediately that the blue is useless. But I was doing this not to say, hey, here's an option, but hey, here's an option if you want to change your bright lights from a green lens to a blue lens. You know, or yellow or red, or, oh, sorry, it comes with red. But now that we have it sitting here, let's go back through the colors and maybe it'll be easier to see. All I can do is I can't hardly see the connections. So that's white. So there, you can see that it's broke, so I have to keep wiggling it to where it makes connection all the way to the top, like that. So there's your green, and it actually looks pretty good with the white. I think that's not bad. I may not stick with that. I might put the green filament inside just to make the green. But if you can only find a warm white would work. So let's pull that out. Let's pop the red one on. So in the red, it does look fine. The red looks pretty good. It doesn't look horrible. So this would work for the red just as well as the green would. And lastly, or just as well as it does on the green. Now we'll do the green. So here's the red with the green. Looks pretty decent, doesn't it? It's amazing. I don't know why it's flickering though. No, not quite at full power. There's full power. And here's the green with the green. On camera. There you go. I don't really like the green in the green. It's overpowering. It's really, really bright. Whereas the white with the green looks pretty good. And the red with the green looks spectacular. It is a very nice red. So a green filament in the red lens looks great. LEDs, being a true color, react differently than tungsten lights do, because tungsten lights, being incandescents, are superheating an element, and that element is shining through the coated glass or dyed plastic, so it's always going to have a whitish tinge. This, the element or filament for the LED, with it being green through the red, actually looks like a orange incandescent light filament. This is usually why I buy multiple packs and do a lot of testing on these, is to try and come up with the best color combination to try and imitate the originals, especially if I'm trying to convert something from incandescent to LED. I know we've been doing this now for over half an hour, and this portion alone, the big light's coming back on. I'm going to zoom out. In this portion alone, just so you can see your options. And because there are ways to fix almost everything. It's whether you want to take the time, money, and energy to do so. But in the case of the Brite Lites Factory, they don't make 3-volt bulbs anymore. So if you want it to be original, meaning 3 volts, then you have to modify something until Department 56 replaces these, which I don't think they ever will. This is a viable option. So I'm probably going to make the green filaments in the red bulbs, the white filaments in the green bulbs. I'm going to make a set right now, and we're going to test it in that Brite Lites Factory. And then we're going to stick them back into these cups, and stick them through and put a solder bead on it and the whole 9, just like it would be normally. But this is what I can see as far as making it work as close to the factory original as possible, since they're no longer made. And so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to pause it for a moment. I'm going to clean some of this up, move some of these filaments out of the way. I'm going to probably put a small resistor on here. Just so you know, at 3 volts, all 3 filaments are pulling 1/100 of an amp, which is 0.1 amps. So they're actually, the green is bouncing between 8 and 0.1, 0.08 to 0.1. The other colors are bouncing between 0.9 and 1.1. So you would need 10 of these to equal 1 amp, and that house only has 2. Approximately 10. So that little house that runs at 3 volts, these aren't going to hurt it. It actually draws less power than the factory incandescent bulbs did. So, But anyhow, I just want to give you a power consumption rating in case you're concerned, since the power supplies do have a rating on them, and you never want to exceed the rating because that's how you start fires. Granted, they're usually small and they don't spread, but you don't still want to start one in your house. So like I said, I'm going to move some of this around. I'm going to get out, well, I already have them soldered. I just got to strip the insulation off. And I am going to check on a resistor to see if I want to make it a little dimmer. So instead of that, maybe that intensity. You can see that's full power. That's partial power. You can see the intensity difference. I never have seen the factory in person, the Brite Lites factory, to determine how bright it actually was. I do know the filament wasn't a long filament like they are now. I know it was a short filament that went across the bulb parallel to the base, not vertical to the base or perpendicular. So I am trying to do my best to replicate, but unfortunately only so much we can do to make it as close as possible. But anyhow, I'm going to clean some of this up so I have more working room. I'm going to try and put two of these together that are red and green. I'm going to bring the factory back over here, and we're going to screw them in and plug it in and make sure it actually functions like it's supposed to. And then once that's done, I'll send it back to the owner, and I'll probably show you how to make one, a complete one, in a separate video, so this video is not 6 hours long. So I will be back in just a moment. Alright, we're back with the Brite Lites factory, and there's the first two bulbs I made. I will have a supplemental video on how they're made because of the process and time. This video is going to be hours, and I'm trying not to make it long, super long videos if I can avoid it. So I'm going to turn off this light, and there we go. So 3 volts, 3-volt light, and the green and the red. So using the box of lights here and these filaments, I was able to do it. Now I did put a red filament in the red bulb and a green filament in the green bulb, and I use resistors to mute the light. It's still pretty bright, especially the green on the camera. It's not so bad in person, but the green is much brighter. It's closer to the visual spectrum. If you ever look at a visual spectrum, it goes from like UV to infrared. Red's close to that infrared, so that's why it seems darker to us, and it's less strain on the eyeballs. So there we go. So it does work. You need some filaments so you get a better light, and you need patience. I ain't gonna lie. It took half a dozen attempts to make the red, and probably twice that much, a dozen attempts to get the green to work. And it's not because of the green color. It's due to the fact that I had to change resistors. So I did put a resistor in each one. There's a 10 ohm on the red and a... I'll turn this light back on because I can't read the package. And a 22 on the green. So I have a 22 ohm resistor on the green and a 10 ohm resistor on the red to mute the color down a little bit. It's running at 3 volts. Both lights on in my power supply. This unit, completely as it's running right now with all 3 3-volt lights, is pulling just shy of an amp because it's 3 volts. So make sure you have a decent power supply. But there you go. That is the Brite Lites factory. And I knew I had the box here. Yeah, Brite Lites Bulb Factory. I knew I was missing a word. So Brite Lites Bulb Factory. You can make new bulbs. Again, I did not use the factory ones that were burned out, which are right here, because I didn't want to damage them because of the joints where they melted the plastic to the base. But this proves anything with time and patience can be done. You could even use a clear lens if you want. It's just going to be really bright. And just so you have a size comparison again, they're the same size. I'll go green on green for you. So there you go. Look at that. Same size bulb. So I will probably have a second video labeled something like how to make replacement bulbs for the Department 56 Brite Lites Bulb Factory, or something along those lines. I don't always title them. Sometimes the editor changes the titles a little bit, but that's fine. But there we go. Turn the light back off so you can enjoy its night's glory of lights. So, new light, factory, and factory. There you go. So, at least this video shows you how to start. The next video will show you how to build. And then this video shows you what it looks like. Because unfortunately, just the building part was pushing an hour. So I'm going to break it up into 2 pieces. But if you have any questions, concerns, comments, put it below either one of the 2 videos. I might even label it Part 1 and Part 2. Brite Lites Bulb Factory Bulb Replacement Part 1, which would be this. Part 2 would be where I build the bulbs and show you how I did it. Let me real fast. Let me turn on the lights and turn off the unit and see if maybe you can see inside the bulb. Yeah, there you go. So you can see inside the bulb. There's the wire. This one bent a little. This one's still straight. Trying to make it as straight as possible. And you can see the filament coming up from the bottom. They don't touch the top, which was my goal. I didn't want them to touch the point. And they are recessed as far down as they'll go. You can see the bases are back where they belong. This socket is higher than this socket, which is why you see more of the bulb piece sticking out than this one. It's not that this sits higher in the socket, it's that the socket inside the house is physically higher up within the column. So yours may vary because, of course, when they're assembled, it's just how hard they push the socket in. But then you can see the filament on either bulb and how they're in. And then watch the other video on how to make it. So if you have this piece, or any of the 3-volt pieces that use these style lights, which I think this is the only one, I'm probably wrong. I don't know everything that Department 56 made. But you can use this same application for other things. So if you have Limax and you have the laboratory one where it's got the stupid Christmas light on it that looks weird, it's kind of out of place for the thing. Maybe you want to change the color inside or change the style of bulb. Maybe you want it like the flame style. It has the candelabra style where it's got the little oomph on the top to imitate a flame. You know, there's choices. So that is this. I'm going to now make some more bulbs because this person would like to have one spare of each color. So technically these bulbs should last many thousands of hours because they're LED, but because these filaments are fragile and I got to ship this, I'm definitely going to ship it back with a spare bulb or 2 for each color. There's only so many I can make because of how many filaments came and how many were broke in the packaging, so I am going to just probably make another set. Plus, of course, some of these don't want to unscrew very easily, as you saw. So I'm going to have to, you know, and that's why they're shatterproof. All right, so let's put this thing back over here so it doesn't get damaged. So that is this video. Stay tuned for the second part. Probably go up the same day or day after. Just look for it. It'll say part 2. And hopefully you got something out of the beginning, and you'll get the rest of it from part 2, so we don't have a 6-hour-long video or a 3-hour-long video. But other than that, thanks for watching. Till the next one.